1, 2, 3, 4.
It's going to be a little speculation talk. I've done a lot of talks for the past couple weeks about games, about manga, inspirations, and I want to talk about kind of what we can probably see from this year, at least what I think we're going to see from this year. But before we get into that, quick reminder, as always, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps us out. Also, check out all of our social media. It's down below. And then if you want to listen to all of our past shows, they're archived on our YouTube channel. That's season 1, 2, and 3 are all up there. And then our most recent shows are on our SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. So you can all listen to those. With further ado, let's get into this week's talk, which is about predictions for 2021. Now, normally, I never really do these types of videos. In the past, I haven't done these type of videos, but I think this is a fun time to predict. Now, let's say these are pre-June, pre-E3, pre-announcement era predictions. So they're pure speculation, throwing darts at the board and let's see if they stick or not. But in terms of technology, in terms of games, I think some things, let's get into that first. And the first thing is the Switch. It's already kind of been rumored to go around, but there will probably be a higher definition model Switch probably coming out this year, or a upgraded Switch, the Switch Plus, the Switchier, who knows? But I expect that to come out from Nintendo. The Switch came out in 2017, so it's been a really long time, couple years now, since the Switch has come out. So it's probably, and the Switch Mini has already come out, so it's probably due for a hardware update, at least in a bit, with the original Switch. So expect that to come out. In terms of Nintendo also, I think Breath of the Wild 2 will probably not come out this year. It would be a miracle if it comes out this year, but I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 will be released this year, especially probably due to COVID delays. I expect that it got, like everything, you just kind of go into things thinking COVID delayed it tremendously, and I think Breath of the Wild 2 was definitely probably hit by COVID in the long run. Moving on to predictions, I think Google Stadia will either die this year or it will die next year. I don't think it's been a huge success for Google. Google is known for killing off projects that they've started. I think that it was a good attempt, but in terms of U.S. infrastructure, in terms of U.S. accessibility, even though video games has grown so much during times of COVID, people don't have good internet connection to make Google work. They don't have the money to pay for the subscriptions or anything, and on top of that, the games as well. I don't think it was the right time to do it. It was a good attempt by Google, but I think overall it will fail, and then maybe they'll give it one last hurrah this year, or it will completely decimate into dust very soon. Moving on to some Microsoft things that I think with Microsoft predictions. We know that Halo is supposed to come out this year. I think it probably will not come out to maybe at least late summer, maybe fall. I don't know if they've actually put a release date for it, but I know that's what they are working on. But I expect that they will probably, the biggest thing for PlayStation, or Microsoft, if you're looking at Microsoft with my predictions, is that they will continue to grow Xbox Game Pass, and that it is something that I think all gamers, including me if I have the money, would jump on and should jump on is that Game Pass will grow and get even bigger and probably should get huge success. I think it will get more recognition as time goes on, especially with them owning Obsidian, and maybe Halo will be the big start for that. But I know all the Yakuza games are already up there, and a lot of good games are up there. Sony, my Sony predictions, I think that we'll meet God of War. Will probably come out, and probably Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will come out. I suspect that we will probably maybe see a Ghost of Tsushima 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Ghost of Tsushima 2, just because it was arguably, I think, their most successful game of last year and their most successful franchise. And we already know that Sony has come out and said that they are really committed to try and make huge blockbuster games now. That's kind of their go-to bread and butter. And then in terms of the PlayStation, I don't think the shortage will end for a while. They said it themselves that they don't think the shortage will end until sometime next year, but I don't think it would be that hard to get a PlayStation if you know the right people and can figure it out yourself. But I do think that we'll probably see some more big blockbuster games. Ghost of Tsushima 2 will probably be a big one, and then probably I know Naughty Dog's working on like a Last of Us remake or remastered or something for the PS5. But other than that, I think we'll probably see a new IP from them. Maybe not this year, but probably next year, and then if not next year, definitely in 2023. In terms of game releases overall, I'm just going to predict that it's going to be a slow year this year. The Elder Ring is probably what I'm looking forward to most. And I suspect that we probably won't see it at all this year. Just because of delays. George R. Martin hasn't even like really finished anything, and like even his last like the Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones book hasn't really finished. So I suspect this year to be a really, really slow year for games overall. Again, like even Final Fantasy Endwalker, you know, when they released the release date, it doesn't come out till November, and they were saying it comes out in fall. I'm like, nigga, that's winter, bro. Like November's winter, so it's I suspect this year, because of COVID, a lot of games that were released last year were pretty much already almost done or in the works. But I expect because of COVID, if the games were really just in their starting phase, they don't come out for a very long time. That goes for a lot of games. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, or not Ghost of Tsushima, my bad. The Elder Ring, any of the Diablo 4, Diablo 2 remastered, those games, all those remastered games that they announced, Overwatch 2, I think they don't come out for a decently long time, and this year is just going to be stale. Psychonauts 2, these Pokemon games, maybe Pokemon games aren't, I don't think, that hard to make. If we get another Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game or any sort of Star Wars game, anything like that, I don't think they come out for a very, very long time. So what I recommend with all these delays and probably a drought, I think, this year, play some oldies. This is my list of games. On the left, we have my recommendations. These are all games that I know that I've at least completed or played from memory. And then right here in this column, we have games that are on my list. Red Dead Redemption, all the Zeldas, the Metal Gear Solid, the OGs, some of the OG Resident Evil, some of the OGs Final Fantasies. I have Persona 4 Golden on my wait list. I have Chaos Child, Dogma, Tales, a series, Darkest Dungeon, Hyper Light Drift, Inside, and Subnautica all on my wait list. There's been a lot of remasters this year. Mass Effect Legendary Edition just dropped. Near Automata or Near Replicant just dropped. So a lot of remasters that you can definitely check out. The Doom games, Mortal Shell. I think that's the route that we should take right now, is trying to archive old games and try out old games that we haven't been able to complete, rather than looking forward to new games. Because I think that with these delays and how things work, we're probably not going to get anything huge or anything new this year. I think we'll get maybe one or two special bangers that have been in development since probably 2019, got delayed in 2020 with COVID, and now kind of picking up again. Maybe with vaccinations as well, we'll start to be picking up again. But I expect, as predicted for this year, 2021, in terms of gaming, I think it will be a very stale year. It won't be a 2017. It won't be a 2019. It'll be very slow, and it won't be as big because last year was slow. We look at my list too of 2019 best games. I had Sekiro, Resident Evil 2, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, Shadowbringers, Borderlands 3, and Halo 3 Master League Collection. And then 2020, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cyberpunk, and Last of Us Part 2. The list was basically cut in half. However, and I think it's going to be the same for this year. However, but I do think by the time 2024 rolls around, we will probably have a banger year again. So that's my predictions for this year. I know it's a little speculation talk, nothing huge, just some fun. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What do you think is coming out this year? Do you think this year is going to be a stale year? Do you think you're not going to really get anything? Or will we get like huge surprises and something huge coming out of the works that was really small? Maybe Amazon actually does have a good game in the works, and they just, it's the next Fortnite or something like that, if that's your predictions or anything like that. Predictions are meant to be fun. They're meant to be speculative. They're meant to just take a wild guess, and if you get it, yes, it's a gamble. So I'd definitely like to hear what you guys' thoughts on it. Leave a comment, message me on social media, anything like that. I would love to reply, have a conversation about this. Anyway, that's going to conclude this week's show. So let's get into the news right now. All right, and welcome back to It's Not a Sport. I hope you enjoyed this week's talking about some of the predictions now that we're moving closer and closer into announcement season. So I hope they're good predictions. I hope they're accurate. That's the fun of predictions. So moving on, we're going to get into some of the news. And if you want to listen to the show or find all of our past shows, a quick reminder, remember they're all in the description or the comment section, and check out our YouTube channel where all of our previous shows are archived. And for the news for this week, we actually have some news on Horizon Zero Dawn. Hey, I totally forgot about this. Why didn't I predict this? This was one of Sony's big ones that they announced, and we've heard nothing about it until now, it seems, where we will finally have some sort of news about it this coming Tuesday on May 27th. So they're going to do a live stream, talk about Horizon Forbidden West, not Zero Dawn anymore. So it's definitely something to look forward to, this state of play, because this was a really good game on the PS4. If you haven't played it, it was a huge surprise from another studio that was under Sony's thumb, but wasn't really known. They're known for making the Killzone games, and then they made a banger. Same as Sucker Punch with Ghost of Tsushima. So definitely check this one out. Then this article came out saying after Mass Effect, EA's best option for a remastered trilogy is Dead Space. And I actually agree. One of the saddest things that my friend and me didn't get to do is that in we were playing Dead Space 3, I believe, and Dead Space 3 is kind of a co-op game where it's designed to play with a friend, and they killed the servers before we were able to complete it. So I was really disappointed that we were never able to complete the game, but it's a really fun space horror game, and after we get a space RPG fantasy game in Mass Effect, I think they should go back and remaster the Dead Space games, because one of the famous scenes was, the eye scene. Some real spooky shit. Ubisoft, who we just talked about, no surprise here, Skull and Bones has restarted development and will not launch in 2021. I believe, again, Skull and Bones eludes me. I believe it was their pirate game that they had going for them. So it's really not surprising that this happens. There's another game that was in there. I keep forgetting. It was something that had like a monkey on it, and they were making it so like people could submit artwork and they could put it in the game. I forget what it was called, but that was also under Ubisoft's thumb, and it never came out. It just kind of disappeared, so I don't really know what happened to it. Twitch. Oh boy, Twitch. So I plan to do a episode on Twitch. Not soon, but probably in the next couple months, talking about Twitch, because I really want to talk about them as a platform, of what they do, how they do it, what their kind of business model has changed, especially since the downfall of Mixer, and just like overall the negative kind of response I think around them overall. And the first one, and this isn't even like the best one, basically they came out with 2 articles this week, and this one was about adding tags to people in chat or yourself in the community. So I guess this is just like a label where, like, if you join a LGBTQIA plus stream, then you can have that tag on you when you're in chat, so they know that you're an advocate or part of that community. So they say that here the list of tags include transgender, black, disabled, veteran, VTuber, among many others. So like overall, I think this is it makes sense, I guess, if you want to do a progressive community push thing for Twitch as a business, making sure that they can make every group happy. But I really don't think this is good, especially if you've seen Twitch's ever been part of a Twitch chat. It's basically just kind of memes, everyone's joking, having a good time. It's not super serious like this. There's not a whole lot of politics involved. Having tags for people and you don't even know, I'm black, but I could tag as something else, like a veteran, and I'm not a veteran. So it's and that's just the way the internet goes. You can say that you are something that you're not. So I don't think it doesn't really mean anything, but it can go very bad, I believe. Like among this, they've added another feature that called echoing, which made, I think, chat able to spam things faster, or like a very spammable chat function, and that backfired. And then their whole political agenda in Twitch, the company themselves banning the word simp, banning the word incel. I believe you can't use the word obese or something in some senses. It's a real clusterfuck. Moving on with Twitch, just to get this out of the way, because at this point it's very tiring. Again, I'll do a whole episode about it. Look forward to it. Hot tub streams. I'm not going to talk about this too much because you probably know what it is. If you don't know what it is, essentially it's chicks in bikinis streaming on hot tubs and writing people's names on their bodies for money. And essentially what they did is they made a separate category for hot tub, beach, and pool streams, really only because of advertisements. Certain ads didn't want to be shown on those streams, as they probably should. You don't want to be recognized with that sort of content, and so they made a separate channel for it other than just chatting. So I'm just going to leave that there, and I really want to talk about these topics in Twitch again as a business model in its own episode. Moving on, Sublime Text 4 is finally released for all you coders out there. That's right. If you're used to Sublime Text, it is out there. Sublime Text 4 is now available, so that's good. I always like coding. I've been doing a lot of it because I've been making games, and so having a new engine out there for the public to use is always really nice. Tower of God comes back May 30th. So, yeah, it's been a year, actually, almost a year since he went on break or went on hiatus. Tower of God, if you haven't known, it's a big one, right next to Berserk, I would say, and One Piece. Rest in peace, the author of Berserk. He actually just passed away very soon, so definitely go check out the Berserk episode if you haven't already, or read the article on our website, because I was very devastated to see that dude passed away. It's very sad, but at least Tower of God's coming back. So if you haven't read Tower of God, haven't read One Piece, or you haven't read Berserk, I highly recommend you do so now. 4 class action lawsuits over Cyberpunk troubling launch are now combining. I'm surprised this is still going on. Cyberpunk was hyped. It got sued because it was disappointing and didn't live up to the hype. But for this to still be going on is just, I think, unnecessary at this point. It's still a good game. I think it could do better, and I think it is still doing better. It really depends on what CD Projekt Red does next. Supposedly they were supposed to have free content updates for the game that is supposed to be out, I believe, by fall or spring of this year. I don't know if they're out yet, but it was still a fun game, and by now modders are probably mod the fuck out of it to make it even better. So yeah, we have some Overwatch news that I want to get into before we go into esports news, really. And, well, if you didn't know, essentially Overwatch did a live stream where they talked about PvP for Overwatch 2. That's right. So we have some PvP news for Overwatch 2, and well, it's definitely looking very interesting. That's what I would say. So let me read my notes real fast. And the first big one for Overwatch 2 is that it is no longer 6v6. It is now 5v5. That means we will have 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 2 supports, rather than 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports. I think overall this is probably a good change. I think it balances it out. It makes it less hectic now that there's 2 less players in the game overall. And then I think this was really to battle how Overwatch 2 meta developed, with like certain comps being the thing. Like you would run 3 tanks and 2 healers for a while. I think it was called Goats was the comp, and that was like a menace comp for a long time. So bad that like Overwatch had to involve role queue or role swap or role priority, whatever the fuck it's called, just so that those comps don't exist, just so people weren't running 3 tanks and 2 healers, or 2 tanks and 1 DPS and 1 support, just so things like that wouldn't happen. And now having 5v5 where there's being 1 tank and 2 DPS, I think it will overall be better and stop things like that from happening. Tanks are, of course, now tankier. Tanks do more damage, and they've really updated a lot of kits as well. Winston has an alternative fire, for example, where he fires a laser, a long-range laser, instead of just like the Lord Sidious unlimited power force lightning. Ryan can now cancel his charge. Zarya has 2 charges of her bubbles, which means she can bubble once and then on herself, and then bubble again on herself, or bubble on one ally and then bubble on another ally. So there's charges. I think that's really good. UI has been updated, like Zen UI. You can actually see who your orbs are on in your UI rather than looking around and seeing it on your HUD. Abilities like Mei can't freeze anymore, but she does more damage, and she slows, but she can't freeze you in place anymore. And the roll passes are now a thing where tanks generate less ult energy when you hit them or when you're shooting at them. Tanks can't be knocked back and knocked around and CC'd as much as they currently are. DPS has higher movement speed than other classes, which means they can flank and get to places faster, and supports have health regen after a certain amount of time. They just regen their own health. So I think overall these are actually really, really nice changes. Really good for Overwatch 2. Hopefully this game does well, but like Overwatch 1 I think it's just been such a hit or miss for a lot of people, and definitely a miss for me, that I'm just like, it's cool that they're doing this. These are things that they probably should have done a long time ago. These are things that I think, I don't know, maybe the engine limits their power to do this in Overwatch 1, but maybe they just should have done this in Overwatch 1 overall and just try to rework that game rather than make a new one altogether. But who knows? This is Blizzard we're talking about. Can't really say. So with that out of the way, and we have Overwatch done for, let's get into some of the esports stuff. And continuing with Overwatch, we have Shanghai Dragons in first, followed by Houston Outlaws in second, then Florida Mayhem, then Dallas. Philadelphia and Chengdu are tied for fifth. Washington is in seventh. Toronto, Seoul Dynasty, San Francisco, Atlanta, Hangzhou, Boston, Los Angeles Gladiators, Paris, Guangzhou Chargers, New York Excelsior, and Vancouver, Los Angeles Valiants, and London Spitfires is in last place. So that's Overwatch League standings currently. Some good games overall. We're going to move on to League of Legends MSI, which also just concluded, and then we will have all the other leagues reboot very, very soon. I believe LCS reboots June 4th, so they have a week off, 2 weeks off, and then they're back at it for summer split. And remember, with LCS, everything carries over. All the other leagues don't. All the other leagues reset for summer split, but with LCS, standings carry over, I believe. So we had knockout stages. In the semifinals, we had Damwon versus Mad Lions. Damwon Gaming won and moved forward to the finals. And then we had RNG versus PSG Talon. And RNG won, and they moved over to the finals. And of course, like everyone predicted with this tournament, it was just Damwon versus RNG, and RNG ended up winning. So congratulations to RNG for winning the MSI 2021. I believe they get a 4th world spot for China, meaning that China now has 4 seeds going to China, 4 seeds going to Worlds this year again. So cool, amazing, fantastic, whatever. Moving forward into Valorant. Valorant is having their big international masters tournament right now, and I believe they still play today actually, so the bracket isn't fully flushed out just yet. But from what we have in round 1, we have Crew Esports versus Fnatic. Fnatic won, moved forward. They go off against Sentinels. Then we had version 1 versus Crazy Raccoon. Version 1-1. They moved forward. They go off against Team Liquid. So and then upper bracket round 1, we had X10 Esports versus Team Vikings. Team Vikings won. They moved forward to round 2. We have Nutrun Gaming versus YNG Sharks. Nutrun Gaming won. They moved forward into round 2. So next, either Team Liquid or version 1 moved forward into round 2, and then Fnatic or Sentinels also moved forward into round 2. For lower bracket, we have Crazy Raccoon versus X10 Esports, and KRU Esports versus YNG Sharks. And we will see what happens as this tournament progresses. That's all the esports news for this week. Let's look at game releases real fast. What do we have coming out? Probably a big one coming out May 25th is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturnal HD Remastered. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of the precursor to Persona and the Persona games. So that's cool. We also have Final Fantasy. What is this? A remake of Final Fantasy 14 come out? Oh yes. Oh yes. I don't know why I blinked about that. Final Fantasy 14 comes out for the PlayStation 5. So you can now play 14 on PS5, and you can, if you're into that. Earth Defense Force World Brothers comes out on the 27th. Oddworld's Collection comes out on the 27th. And that's really it for May. For May, we're pretty much wrapped up until we get into June, which June 1st, well, the two big ones for June 1st are World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic, which I will be playing, and the Elder Scrolls Online Gate to Oblivion, which is the new Elder Scrolls expansion, comes out as well. So those are the big ones that come out in June. We got really nothing in June, but I expect a whole bunch of news for the year coming forward, because this is generally when E3 time happens. With further ado, that's going to be this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Reminder, as always, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out. Check out our social media pages. It's Not a Sport to You. It's on Instagram and Twitter, and our TikTok, where we post previews of the show and some League of Legends and other content, and it all goes up on there. Links are in the description below. Also, check out our website where we have our articles. That's also in the description below. And all of our previous shows are also archived on our YouTube channel, which is in the description below. You can also watch the VOD, where you can see me talk about it and show the news on our YouTube channel as well, if you are more a visual type of person. And then we also have, for our people who want to listen to the audio, all of our most recent shows go up on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcast. Anyway, that's going to conclude this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful climb.